I know you were expecting the Vanguard class review next. Well, that's coming in a minute. However, right now I'm going to cover the developer Q&A. What is a developer Q&A? It's basically when all the designers of the game get together and answer all of the frequently asked questions and pretty much lay out the plan for the future of Space Marine 2. This, to me, is far more important than talking about a class that we already know exists. So, without further ado, I don't want to sit here and waste your time. Let's just get right into these. The format here is pretty simple. I read the topic, I read the answer, and then I might give my 2 cents on the matter. Connectivity issues. I know this is big for a lot of you. We know some of you are experiencing server issues, loss of saves, or impossibility to connect with friends. We are ramping up our server capacity to reduce the load on them and are working day and night to reduce the issues. This is a top priority for the team, and a bigger patch is planned soon to improve this topic further alongside new content. There's not really much to say here. They're putting a fix for the server issues in place. That's pretty good. Moving on. AI bots. Question. Bots are regularly mentioned as inefficient, making solo games significantly harder, and you suggested we work on them. According to you, they don't participate in focusing on objectives or don't do enough intense situations. Answer. Bots seem a bit passive because we don't want them to take the spotlight from the players. However, they can sometimes be a bit too passive. In the next patch, we have a few improvements of their behavior against boss fights in the campaign. We are also considering improving their involvement during specific objectives in the campaign for a later patch. Honestly, when it comes down to bots, I'll keep it a buck. I find a lot of bots way more worthwhile than my randoms, because at least a bot's gonna come up and revive me and not die immediately. I like them. Campaign. Veteran difficulty is said to be too hard in solo as the bots don't help with objectives. We will adjust veteran difficulty in a future patch, and it will remain challenging, but it will be slightly more fair because we will tweak AI aggressiveness on this difficulty. Other difficulties will remain untouched. Honestly, not super big deal. It's getting moved to the back burner, but you'll see why in a minute. PvE balancing. This is a big one. Assault is often listed as less powerful than other classes. The jump pack in PvE loses its versatility compared to the one in the campaign. We are still collecting data on this issue to see how we can work on it. Honestly, this just boils down to people not being good at playing Assault. That's the long and short of it. If you think Assault is bad, it's probably because you're bad with Assault. That's all. The blocking weapon trait is seen by the community as a bad thing for melee weapons as it removes potential for mastery because there is no perfect parry window. We fully agree that this is a bummer and will definitely make changes in a future patch. Honestly, if people like blocking, let them enjoy blocking. You've given them buffed weapon stats because of the blocking effect. It's not that hard. I mean, if they want to go be good, they can use a fencing weapon. But otherwise, just let them kind of live in the squalor they've put themselves in. This one's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun because I was right. Melt-a-gun spammers. It is time for you to start penciling your reservations for the collective brain cell. The bolt rifle family is underperforming while the melt-a-gun is considered overpowered. We have noticed a bug where the Melta allows the user to heal above the contested health. We aim to fix this in the next patch. People are going to be screaming bloody murder about this because their easy win button was taken away. But you want to know what I say? It's a very nuanced take. Fuck them. Because that's a broken thing that was not supposed to be in place to begin with. But for the rest of balancing, as for the rest of weapon balancing, we hear you, and some weapons can underdeliver on the power fantasy at higher difficulty levels. We also recognize that enemies can be too bullet spongy on higher difficulty, which is not much fun. That's the core issue rather than the bolters themselves. For now, we are testing some tweaks in difficulty to make the enemies have less health, but keep the engaging difficulty. We might see enemies getting more aggressive, we might see more elites in play, but they're gonna start taking less shots. Quality of life. You asked to be able to have several of the same class in operations mode. There is also frustration in matchmaking when 2 players want to be the same class. Now, personally, I always thought the solution to this was, I don't know, stop acting like children. Whoever picked first gets to pick first. But apparently there's a better solution here. For now, we are focusing on improving matchmaking so that you will not matchmake with players of the same class. This is not an easy fix, so it will take us some time to roll it out. As for using the same class, we don't want to change that rule for regular matchmaking, but we are considering it as an expansion of private lobbies in the future. It will take us time to finish it. Long story short, you're going to get a lot of less duplicates as time goes on. Question. It was observed that players tend to show toxic behaviors as they get kicked late during a game made by a group of friends to let their friend get the XP. We understand this is unfair, and each player will receive XP based on their actual involvement in the mission. That's pretty standard, and we're also getting private lobbies soon, so this is pretty much all fixed. Saved loadouts don't include skill tree customization, making them less relevant. This is not a priority for us at the moment. Understandably so, it seems like we're adding up a lot on the plate. Now on to PvP. You have suggested making it possible to tag as a squad of 6. We understand this need, and we want to add custom PvP lobbies and give players more control over the match. For example, frag limit, class restrictions, etc. It's not that easy to make it, and it takes time, so please bear with us while we work on it, and we will let you know when we have clearer visibility on when it will be released. Solid. Balancing. More balancing, I should say. It was brought to our attention that shock grenades are also overpowered. Oh, you don't say. The thing that immobilizes and stuns you. Crazy. Also, many of you consider melee to be underpowered. Assault is considered weak in PvP, Bulwark is overpowered in capture zones, and Heavy is overpowered. Too much damage for its durability. Regarding PvP balancing, we are currently reading and crunching the data. We don't want to make rash decisions before seeing the global picture. At the moment, we are checking the most common topics such as melee balancing, shock grenades, Bulwark, and Heavy being too present in the capture game modes. Expect some tweaks in the first big content patch, but not before. This is pretty simple. I'm sure the 7 people who play PvP are super interested in that. No team balancing after matches creates unbalanced matches for several matches in a row. Yes, steamrolling, big issue. We have heard this many times, and we want to improve this in future patches. We are looking into it. But once again, this one kind of seems like they've got a lot on their plate, and they're taking things one at a time. Everything else here are just general topics that were highly discussed. Are we getting new colors for the lenses? Yes, new lens colors are planned and coming soon in the next big patch. I don't know what this next big patch is, but it seems like they're cooking, so I'm just going to go ahead and let them. You asked to pick the Chaos Space Marine Legions you want for every class. There are many lore restrictions preventing us from doing this. For instance, we cannot make a sniper with World Eater armor. Honestly, I respect it. I can totally side with that reasoning, even if it's at risk of the casual community a little bit. It is very tricky to match armor pieces for Chaos. Armor pieces have different sizes, styles, and will clip through each other, etc. Also, in PvP it is important to be able to recognize an enemy's class, and we want to keep the visual identity of each of them. Now, we will not keep it as is, and we would like to expand Chaos customization, but the reality is, they won't be as modular as the Loyalists. Fair enough. Many of you have asked for new classes. That is something that we are definitely heavily discussing. Adding a new class is quite heavy on production, as we also need to create all of the customization, PvP Chaos model variant, and animation set depending on what we go for. We will keep you updated about this topic. So, you heard it here, they do have classes planned in the future. About the missing armor colors. We aim to expand specific color masks such as hand, decals, or face mask. In upcoming patches, we will be adding all successor chapters eventually. Sounds good enough. Adding new melee weapons. New melee weapons would definitely be an extremely cool addition. You heard it, folks. You heard it, they said it, lightning claws. It's in the future. That's what that means. I mean, lightning claws and all sorts of other stuff, but mainly lightning claws. Making a weapon and designing it is fine, but we need to make all finisher animations for it. It will take time. Customizing your Marine's face. Not a quick fix, but we will add an option to change your Marine's face. Optimizing PvP crossplay. We need more time to discuss that. Custom PvP lobbies will solve a good part of the issue. I'm not sure if that means you will be able to play with anyone in your custom PvP lobbies, but I'll tell you what it will mean. I think I'm going to just start hosting game nights in the Discord server, link is in the channel, and we're just going to fight each other. That sounds great. That's how friendships are made, okay? Thunderhawk customization. Doing full battle barge and Thunderhawk customization is very cool, but not up in our priority list. We prefer to focus our art teams on creating new maps. Honestly, I am totally okay to never get that customization if you just keep cranking out new maps. That is perfectly fine by me. Content over customization, now that we've had so much customization as is. It's gonna take a lot of people to get through the stuff that's already here. Pyre Blaster in PvE or PvP. We will add it, but it will take some time because of the visual and gameplay progression. We will keep you upgraded. Being able to customize the AI squad mates. Still in discussions. I don't know why we would really need this. I mean, like, we already got our ice cream. We don't need sprinkles. Delete custom armor profile. We worked on this. In the next patch, you will be able to overwrite a custom preset with a default one. FOV slider and left-right shoulder swap. An FOV slider is not something we are comfortable with, as it can degrade the visual aspect of our game, and on top of that, it is very complex. Our game is not a first-person shooter. The camera that we have is very cinematic and constantly changes position, and the FOV based on what you are doing. Still, we understand that it is a very popular request, so we are considering it anyway. As for the shoulder swap, if we are able to implement a shoulder swap, we will need to support it for all melee animations and transitions, because everything in melee combat was made based on the fact that you hold the pistol in the left hand and the melee weapon in the right hand, because it looks badass. Nevertheless, shoulder swap is a feature we will not add in the game. Okay, look. I honestly just appreciate that they put the word badass in dev notes. Like, that's great. But right here, it just says no shoulder swap. So whatever shoulder advantage you have, you are keeping. Getting rid of class restrictions on cloaks and tabards. These are a part of class identity. You get to recognize snipers because of those elements. Hell yeah, sniper exclusivity contract on cloaks. Frames on gun strikes. Gun strikes are a risk-reward action. This is actually a big one. It's weird that they saved it for the last, but gun strikes are a risk-reward action, and it is very easy to spam. We specifically did not put an iframe on it for balancing reasons, and we are not looking to change this intention. Now that it's put that way, and it's for balancing purposes, I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to stop spamming gun strikes all the damn time. Because I know it's not just some sort of bug that prevents me from getting a finisher animation. This is done purposefully, which I can understand why it's done purposefully. Hell, if I was allowed to just gun strike all the time without being interrupted, I would never lose health. So, you know what? Fair enough. So what do you think? Go ahead, tell me how you feel about these notes in the comments. Personally, I think, all in all, these were pretty good. They answered questions that needed to be answered, and they set up a great-looking future for the game. Of course, the Melta change is going to have some babies crying, but, you know, that's just kind of what babies do. They cry. You can't blame them. And with that, go ahead and join the Discord server if you're old enough. I'm going to get on out of here. See ya. Vanguard tomorrow.